So I created this little quiz, and you're welcome to just kind of glance through it. You can screenshot it as well, whatever you'd like to do. But these are good questions to find out, are you codependent? And basically, the more of these you have, the more codependent you are. The fewer of these you have, the less codependent you are. It's a very simple little question and answer thing. But have you felt these things, having difficulty making decisions? And more on like the chronic level, right? Like, do you not really have a sense of what your gut's telling you because you've had self-neglect, abandonment, or you haven't spent enough time with yourself? You're always focused on everybody else. You don't really know thyself. 2, do you judge what you think, say, or do harshly because it's never good enough? This is another big one for codependence, right? We have a lot of shame, a lot of shame. And so that shame fuels our overfocus on other people. I've just got to be this superwoman for everybody else, or this superman for everybody else, because I'm not good enough anyway. And so I've got to continue to abandon myself and give and give and give and give and give and give and give, or be there for them, or be super friend, or be super helpful until I'm sick, or until I'm resentful, or until I'm, what's some more? Y'all tell me. Y'all tell me what you do. You know how this looks. So I can feel good enough. I'm the one that always overdoes. I'm the one that continues to make sure everybody's okay. I'm that person who people always depend on. And that can be a strength and a weakness, but it often is fueling, I'm not good enough anyway, so I have to overdo. And if I say no or take care of myself, then I may have to deal with feelings of feeling lost or not good enough. And those yuck, right? So the third question, value others' opinions or feeling over your own. So when you ask someone else their opinion, ask someone else, someone else, someone else, someone else, instead of you being your own authority over what you know. It doesn't mean we don't get advice from people who have been there, done that, and know this thing, right? We do. We all need each other for those reasons. But only listen to people who you truly know have been there, done that, or you really respect. People who aren't, you'll get lots of opinions, right? And then 5th, seek attention and validation from others. Sure, we need some. But is that a driving factor to how you manage your day? 6, look to others to provide feelings of safety and security. Well, of course, we all do that sometimes. Of course, we feel sad. Will you hold me? Can you give me a hug? Can we talk? They call that social engagement. It's healthy. It helps balance the brain. And I want to say, and we need ourselves to fall back on when that person's unavailable, when they aren't able to say the things we really need to hear. I have a loving, wonderful husband. Is he always able to say the things I really need to hear? Absolutely not. He's got his own inner critic. He's got his own high standards that he filters my own answers through. And sometimes I don't hear the nurturing thing I want to hear from him. And so we have to be able to find that in our friends or in ourselves, mostly in ourselves. Knowing that we're seeing our strengths, seeing what we're good at, having difficulty admitting mistakes, having difficulty beginning tasks and finishing them, having trouble setting healthy boundaries, finding it difficult to know and ask for what you need and want, freely offer advice without being asked. That's a big one, isn't it? I have an answer for you. Nobody even asked me for one, but I know what you need to do. I had a teenager and she's now in college, but she taught me really well that when they don't want your opinion, they don't want your opinion. That was a really good way for me to stop giving advice without being asked. I'd be like, would you like my opinion? And she'd be like, no. I'm like, okay, you got this. Becoming resentful when others decline your help and reject your advice, lavish gifts and favors on those you want to influence, have to feel needed in order to have a relationship with others, accept sexual attention when you want to feel love. It's another one. They used to call that sexual codependency. Are extremely sensitive to others' feelings and take on the feelings as your own. That's a big one for codependence. Very empathic. And they feel other people's feelings sometimes when the other person really needs to be, they're in charge of their feelings. I always say to my clients, if it worked for you to feel their feelings for them, then we'd be millionaires, wouldn't we? But it doesn't work. We can't do it for them. putting aside your own interests in order to do what others want, extremely loyal and staying in harmful situations too long. And that's another coping skill from childhood, possibly. Demand that others meet your needs, can get very demanding and temper tantrumy. And then adopting an attitude of indifference, helplessness, authority, or rage to manipulate outcomes. That's another codependent move that we get into. Like me raging at my guy about quitting smoking cigars. All right, I'm going to come back to this a little later. I wrote a book called Love Wisdom, A Soul's Journey to Wellness, and I wrote this spiral out, but I would like to come back to it later because there's some other things I want to go into it more, but it talks about, well, let me do it briefly, and then we'll come back if we want to go in detail later. The focus is on the other person. As you see, I don't feel okay, so I want you to do this. I want you to be this. I want you to X, Y, Z. And that's fine. It's okay to ask for what you need. But then this is where it gets sticky. We get attached to the outcome. If they don't do this, I'll get angry, lose it, not make it, fall apart, be depressed. I'll hate myself. Something's wrong with me, right? If they do this, I'll feel better. I'll be better. So they get a lot of power off the bat instead of us tuning in and saying, okay, they have a choice around this. And how am I going to take care of myself? My inner welfare depends on them doing it. That's where it gets really scary. Thirdly, the person, maybe they don't change, let's say. They keep smoking cigars. They keep yelling when we've asked them to stop. Whatever it is, they keep doing these things that are deal breakers, or we're not sure if they're deal breakers, but they hurt, right? Person doesn't change. Then we have all these emotions, right? Sadness, disappointment, fear, anger. Then we turn on ourselves. This is the codependent trick. I'm not good enough. If I were good enough, they would change. If I were good enough, they would be different. Something's wrong with me. And we begin to self-implode. Since we can't get the outside to do what we want, we implode inwardly. And then we begin to say, if I were only smarter, skinnier, meaner, nicer, more loving. And sure, maybe we've done something that we need to take accountability for. I'm sorry I yelled at you. I'm sorry that I did this, that, right? Whatever it is. But this gets to be extreme. The shaming, blaming, guilting, self-fearing, all of that inner spiral gets to be very, very, very painful. And then we try to change our behavior ad nauseum to try to make the outcomes better. Okay, I'll be better. I'll be nicer. I'll be different. I'll be this. I'll be that. And that becomes crazy making. And so the cycle begins again. So that's just a snippet into how this codependent spiral keeps people sick. When we're centered in our own energy and have an internal focus of control, this is where we get healthier and healthier and healthier. So internal focus of control, I would prefer it. Like I'm trying to get my daughter to clean her room, let's say, or I'm trying to get my mother to stop criticizing me for the spiritual path that I've taken, whatever. It can be anything, right? I would prefer it if you would stop criticizing me and telling me what to do. That would mean so much to me. I'm not attached to the outcome. My mom may still be her mom. My daughter may still do her thing. When we have kids, we have a little more power, right? We could say, if you don't clean your room, you can't go out, right? That's a little different. But with like my mom or your sister or your brother, or you can't say, or I'm not, yes, you could say, I'm not coming to visit you if you're going to act like that. Yeah, you could say that. But we want to have a non-attachment to the outcome. And we want to make sure if we set a boundary, it's something we can live with, right? And so we want to allow room for this non-attachment to the outcome. The person's going to do what they do. And we want to work on our own underlying emotions. I'm valuable, good for me, for asking for what I need. So let's say then the person does change and we're like, yay, I'm glad I said something. Yay, we can work this out. We feel connected and valued and supported. We're that reciprocity, right? But if the person doesn't change, we don't slam ourselves. We don't have a shame attack, a blame attack. We don't go into that place of self-hatred and shaming and over-controlling and panic as much. We are more centered in our own energy. We may feel curious. Wow, I really wanted that to turn out another way, but this is how they are. And I still want to be in a relationship with them, or I'm going to spend less time with them, or this is how I'm going to navigate it if they aren't able to make a change. And we make a plan for ourselves. So we feel more empowered instead of anxious or shameful. And then we move into not taking their decisions personally. That's a big one, isn't it? Not taking their decisions personally. It's not about us at that point because we've done our part, and we may have to do our part multiple times. That works for me. That doesn't work for me. But getting in tune with that, and then a decision. We may have a decision to make there. Do I stay? Do I go? Do I navigate this in a different way? Do I give this some space? Going within, tuning in. Meditation has been super helpful for me for this stage of figuring out, where do I want to put my energy? How do I come from that calmer, wiser self by tuning into my deeper knowing about me? Is this something that I can or can't tolerate? Is there a creative outcome? I may be stuck. Have you ever heard that saying, I'm stuck on the horns of the dilemma? It's either this way or this way. I'm in black and white thinking. That's when I'm in codependency. I'm in black and white thinking. Do you see though this little thing I'm doing with my hand? If it's either this way or this way. There's a whole bunch of room in between of a creative possibility for an outcome. And I want to live in possibility if I'm in recovery. Now, I don't want to live in denial, and I don't want to live in not taking accountability, but I want to live in possibility. And so letting myself line up with possibility and take care of myself, finding that creative outcome that's in between. And often the middle ground is a great place to land. Sometimes we do have to go to the extreme if it's a full deal breaker, right? And something's very, very harmful.